Say you have an image in your head or an idea you want to illustrate. Some people use mediums of art such as painting, drawing, or sculpting to convey their images. I use poetry and creative writing to create certain images, ideas, and now, even journal entries. Since I took Intro to Creative Writing in my sophomore year of college, I have written poetry. Despite my affection for writing, I wasn't aware of my knack for poetry until that semester, where I had to respond to poetic prompts. However, this isn't the first time writing has followed me. Now, I use poetry as a form of self-expression, and I want to tell you how writing has guided me through the years and how it has evolved. I began writing in elementary school. I'd write fictional stories such as spin-offs to my favorite TV shows or just plain images in my head, whatever my imagination can flesh out. However, I didn't understand how important writing was to me. Out of instinct, I would just write in my notebooks. In my high school years, I was fond of writing song lyrics after developing an obsession with finding rock music, like Florence and the Machine and Fleetwood Mac. Years later, now in creative writing, I fleshed out a part of my creativity. During that semester, I joined the Lumen Literary Magazine on Mercyhurst campus. With little extracurricular activities under my belt, I figured Lumen would be a good start with my little background in writing. Their events like open mics and poetry slams drove me to write more. Anytime I found inspiration, whether feelings, people, and art, I'd rush to the notes application on my phone or type on Microsoft Word. I soon started to write about anything that was on my mind. I was obsessed with illustrating images via words. For example, let's take a look at this photo. You can see me and a friend tubing at night. While some may not think twice about it, I can remember how I felt that night, what I was doing, and the scenery around it. Components like that are typically what fuel poetry structures and how I create poems. I finished sophomore year as a student editor for Lumen. However, my enthusiasm for Lumen and my creative writing was well received by Professors Dr. Marnie Sullivan and Dr. Gregory Brown, who are both administrators of the publication. Rumors circulated that I was going to be selected to be one of their next editors-in-chief for Lumen. At the beginning of my junior year, the rumors turned into reality. Me and my close friend Jacob Leach had assumed the roles of editors-in-chief. During my junior year came a shift in my writing. Crafting random images was put on the back burner. I faced a writer's block because I was preoccupied by the turmoil in my personal life. There were toxic friends who hindered my spirit, and my confidence was tested, and I felt excluded and mistreated by those around me. But what struck me the most was the death of my friend, Dee Miller. She was my first friend at Mercyhurst and had motivated me to break out of my shell and find my niche. I faced all of that chaos at the same time. My world felt devoid of inspiration and was replaced by confusion. I grew familiar with the rummage of emotions occupying my head, yet I couldn't describe how to feel. To this day, I don't know how to fully articulate that mess of emotion during that time. However, words started to trickle out of my head again as I entered spring semester of that same year. I took time to focus on myself and move on from the people who mistreated me, all while trying to mourn the loss of Dee. My poetry transformed from art illustrations to therapy. They became diary entries of the strength I was determined to rebuild. Soon, I had more poems written than the years before, combined. I still use poetry as therapy to this day. It was beneficial while trying to navigate senior year. Thankfully, I am in a better mental space and surrounded by supportive people. They have given me a positive influence in my writing. Now in present day, I have finished my second year as an editor-in-chief for Lumen. I dream of publishing a collection of poetry tentatively titled Living Through Daydreams. While there is more work to create, I want to leave this story with a poem. This one is called Angel Fire. Mark me, my God, with grace and angel fire, temptation undressing me faster than I can untie my robe, standing in grace with charred skin, peeling to reveal soft ivory, slowly removing the organ that smells of witch's death. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee, clutching burnt flesh that looks like melted lace. Let me breathe in only that, and would you please hear my call to thee? For the times I may not believe it myself, I stand here, full of grace.